Well, I wish I could say it was a good morning, everyone. Welcome into the PHLY Phillies podcast. I'm Jamie Lynch. Renee Washington to my right, your left as the viewer. Hello, Scott and Ryan and others in here to commiserate with us. I've been doing this job in some medium, shape, or form now for going on almost 2 decades. And one of the good things about sports is the highs together and the lows together. And sometimes that community therapy is, and good morning, Barbara, that community therapy is helpful. And you get the anger out, you get the sadness out, you get the disbelief out. And we'll eventually pick ourselves up and move on. But I cannot lie to you, that one absolutely ripped my heart out. I think I got angrier last night as I was doom scrolling stats and statistics and looking at box scores, and it kind of moved into sadness and then back to anger. Then I mixed in some ice cream when I got home last night, Renee, to try and help. It was an emotional roller coaster, and here we are. We're left to once again pick up the pieces, and we'll deep dive what went wrong, what happened exactly, and just how bad this was. But how are you doing this morning?
I slept like crap. I feel sick. But other than that, I'm pretty good, I guess. I don't know. I think, you know what? I was talking to my dad, my family in general about it, and my dad made a comment in our thread like, well, it's been 46 years of this as a Philly fan for him. He's like, welcome to the other side. Like, this is what we're used to. And this is what Philly fans, it's kind of like being in a very toxic relationship where you just keep going back and you see the red flags and you just keep believing it's going to get better, and it never does. That's being a Philly sports fan. So, yeah, we had a chance last night on the show to just kind of let some raw emotion out, and the sun will come up again the next day, and that's what it did. So it's kind of like time to turn the page, and very disappointing. I know somebody in the chat was saying they weren't feeling good after Game 6. I was not either, because we all know what a Game 7 means in any sport. It doesn't matter anything else at that point, because it just comes down to being the better team on that one day. And going into Game 7, I know I was saying it. You and Susie on the show after Game 6 were optimistic. I was not. And I was saying I didn't want to set myself up to be disappointed. I am still very much disappointed, but yeah, absolutely expect this. So welcome in, guys. I don't know if it is a good morning, John. We agree it's not a great morning, but hit that like button while you're here. Make sure you're commenting. It's good that we've maybe even won over some new regulars. J Flo, you being one of them. That we've got some faces that I'm seeing back in the chat today, this morning, joining us. Whether you're on our side or not, it's fine. Hit that like button. Make sure you're following, and nice to have you back, I guess. But yeah, there's a lot to really unpack for sure. Ezio, welcome. You're saying people talk themselves into this being a World Series team, but if you watch them all year, they were not. They had fatal flaws. Yeah, I mean, Barbara, yeah, the real fans are not losers, even though the team may have lost, for sure. Welcome in, Eugene, Matt. It's nice to have you guys. But yeah, it's a situation where you now look back at some of those Band-Aid issues that we saw throughout the season, and definitely in the postseason, and we kept talking about, it'll be fine, they'll work through it. And in the end, at the end, it's what came back to really bite them in the rear. That's why the Phillies are now done, because of some major issues that were never adjusted, Jamie.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of back and forth on Twitter today. I was listening to sports radio and just kind of, taking the temperature of the town and listening into people. One thing I can't stand is saying this and that, and this is the reason they lost. No, this is the reason they lost. No, this. And like, you're wrong. That's not the reason they lost. This is the No, there's like literally a list of 12 to 15 different reasons why they lost and came up short and blew this series, and everybody's a little right. Don't tell people that they're wrong for their reasons of why the Phillies came up small. I mean, there's literally a grocery list of reasons they came up small. And to open the show, like I was kind of thinking about that this morning, like, all right, well, like who can I give a pass to? Who like isn't in my crosshairs? And you guys tell me if I missed anybody here on my personal list of good Phillies, and then everybody else was bad. And this is unique to this series. Last series does not matter. Maybe that Game 3 versus the Braves was their World Series.
It felt like it. Unfortunately.
Yeah. So the good Phillies, I have Jeff Hoffman, Jose Alvarado. I know there was a tack-on run in Game 6, but other than that, he was in good standings in my book. Matt Strahm, Zach Wheeler, Ranger Suarez, and Kyle Schwarber. Everybody else was bad. Am I missing anybody good? Tyler, Renee?
For the entire series,
Tyler says no. You say no. That's it. That's what I got as good Phillies. Six guys showed up.
Like Brandon Marsh had a game.
Brandon Marsh was playing well the final 2 games, yeah.
And then Alec Boehm obviously had Game 7, but hey, it's a 7-game series, not a 1-game series. So I think for the entire 7-game series, sadly, you are correct. And the sadder part about that is it's the bullpen.
The bullpen, the front office, and the manager.
I mean, like the guys you're listing outside of Kyle, none of them are at bats.
Three relief pitchers in there of the 6.
So, bam. I mean, we've talked so much about the bullpen and focus a lot on that and who should be reliever, who's not, who's good, Taijuan Walker, in, out, Sanchez, whatever. But at the end of the day, it wasn't just the bullpen that let you down. Now, another positive,
Eugene, the Fanatic, was and always is
great.
The
Fanatic was great, but also another positive that Matt Deckert dropped in the chat a little bit earlier is now Addie doesn't have to worry about you having a tattoo on your butt.
Yeah, she actually texted me that this morning. She says, well, no ass tattoo for you. And I said, that makes me sad. I had fully come to terms with, the fat Phillies old school maroon P somewhere on my lower extremity.
I was going to make an inappropriate comment, but it's too early in the morning.
Yeah, I haven't even had my full coffee yet.
No, it's too early in the morning. But you and Tyler did at least escape from having to get tattoos live on the show.
And Sean Kleckner, look, maybe you're right. Brandon Marsh certainly isn't on my bad Phillies list. Like Sean says he was on base 11 times this series and was not driven in 1 time. Part of the reason he was not driven in 1 time was because Johan Rojas was overmatched in this series. He didn't belong in the batter's box. He didn't deserve the opportunities he got. And this goes to Rob Thompson. I can't blame Johan Rojas, a kid who's wet behind the ears, for looking overmatched in that environment. But I can blame Rob Thompson for allowing him to hit yesterday with a bases loaded situation. And does Christian Pache come in and deliver you a clutch hit that changes the series? There's no way for us to ever know. But I think he would have looked more like he belonged than Johan Rojas. So, yeah, Brandon Marsh was left on base a lot. Maybe I should have him on my good Phillies list. I think that's a fair point by Sean. Not many guys looked locked in at the plate, and at least Brandon Marsh did that for 2 or 3 games this series.
Well, Rob was, of course, asked after Game 7 about the decision to keep Rojas at bat when the bases were loaded. 4th inning, Phillies were up 2-1. And he said, we were winning at that time. I didn't want to take Rojas out. We wanted him on the defensive side. And also he was saying if you pinch hit for Rojas, that means you've got to pinch hit. 2 guys have to come in. He's like, it just was too much to do in that moment. And I felt more confident in leaving Rojas there. I
think he admitted his mistake by pinch hitting for him later.
But he was saying, like, even still looking back on it, no, he wouldn't have changed it.
Well, that's wrong.
And that's wrong. And that's where Rob had, listen, I've got a whole list of things about Rob that I want to get into today. Because in that moment, you're focusing so much on the defensive side. You're only up 2-1. It's the 4th inning. You have the bases loaded. You got to keep the inning alive Because if you score another run, you get an insurance run in, and maybe score 2 runs, it's a whole different game. You're playing conservative, and we talked about that with Dusty. We've talked about that in general in this postseason, that the Phillies had moments where they were playing too conservative. And in my opinion, you're so busy focusing on the next plays, how you need Rojas, that you're not actually taking a risk to score. So what's the trade-off? You don't score in that situation. You have a 2-1 lead, which is not a lead. We've seen the Phillies have blown, in this series alone, a couple of leads where they were up 2-3 runs. And then now you're turning around and you're giving them new life. Instead of in that chance having an opportunity to really put the game away in a sense, or at least extend the lead. And like you're saying, Martian, take chances. It's game 7. What are you waiting for? Who cares if you're defending well if you're not scoring runs?
Yeah. Eugene Krabs, Cassie had a worse on-base percentage than Rojas this series, JFC.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel you on that one.
Yes.
Nick Castellanos absolutely killed you. And, your big money players absolutely killed you. Tyler, if you can scroll up, there was a comment that made me laugh. And Barbara, Martian, Eugene, Tim, Sean, Melody, everybody in here, if you're going to be in here, at least smash that like button for us. Keep going up. It was something. It was the commenter. Do you think the arrogance and condemnation of the fan base had anything to do with it, or was it just the overalls? Looking back on it, the overalls aren't so funny now.
No, it looks stupid. It looks stupid. Dancing on my own, the overalls, a lot of it just looks stupid. It's like all the reasons you're giving people extra ammunition to laugh at the Phillies. It would have been great if the Phillies had gone on and at least made it to the World Series, but now it looks very much stupid to be walking around in overalls and you can't even get a hit.
Yeah, Matt Deckert says makes a little sense because you bring in Pache and then they bring in Mantply and then you bring in Cave,
and that's what he was
but
saying.
Still don't like it. Okay, but do something different. Like Johan Rojas was completely and utterly overmatched and did not belong. At least Christian Pache gives you the confidence of a major league at bat. I know he drew a walk later, so you can't say he's going to draw a walk in the bases loaded situation, but he's going to have a better at bat than Rojas. And Tyler wrote the note up there, and this is on my short list. Dave Dombrowski can catch some strays today too, and his front office staff, because their big trade deadline acquisitions were Michael Lorenzen, who essentially had no real impact on the series, barely pitched, and Adolfo Castro. When you have Nick/Jake Cave as your best bench bat, that's not a good situation. So Dave Dombrowski and the front office, I think, came up pretty small at the trade deadline. And, these are the golden opportunities with a team in its prime, big money spent to go all in. And you're going all in was a guy that didn't even contribute to the postseason. I think that was a swing and a miss. That's
exactly the issue. I mean, Cave is your pinch hitter. And I know exactly as you're saying, Matt, that's what Rob was talking about. You bring in Pache, then you have to bring in Cave. Now you're bringing in 2 guys. Who cares? I mean, look, on the other side with the bullpen, you bring in Zach Wheeler to help try to get the win. You need to do anything in your power to try to just focus on the play at hand. Don't worry about the future and what's gonna possibly happen and the possible matchups. Score the runs and then worry about the other stuff later. I mean, to just have bases loaded. I think if it was not a bases loaded situation, it's a different conversation. Bases loaded up by 1 4th inning, and the Phillies have been very up and down, bless you, Tyler, very up and down with scoring. You have a chance to at least keep the inning alive, and you don't take that because you're overthinking the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Focus on the now. It's game 7. So too many things, in my opinion, of being conservative at the wrong times. I feel like for whatever reason, it's been conservative when it comes to and lack of any sort of pulse or adjustments when it comes to at-bats. But then when it comes to the bullpen, it's a short leash. And it doesn't make sense to me. So a lot of things that... Was that
unintentional?
Yeah.
Because they didn't have those in game 6 and 7.
They didn't have those either. I mean, none of this. There was none of this.
None of it.
But you have everything with the bullpen is highly scrutinized, short leash, all over the place, chaotic.
I still think about Roger Mason and Mitch Williams in 1993. So am I going to think about game 4 and why the hell you pulled Christopher Sanchez and in game 3 Ranger Suarez so early and why you're going to Craig Kimbrell, Rob Thompson, may have been the only person left that believed in Craig Kimbrell. And Sean Melody just said it. Game 4 is when we lost this series.
We all knew it.
Completely agree. I didn't think they would have that fold in them, but he's right. They completely regressed after that. And, Game 4 is the one I'm going to look back on, being up 5-3 in the 7th inning as, the breaking point of the series. And you kind of saw it with guys and their body language. In showing up in Sixers jerseys, which, by the way, I'll never get over. Bryce, that's a permanent stain on your record.
I'm at Patrick Beverley 6, not even like a classic Allen Iverson.
Yeah.
Like you're because how you walk in is what you're channeling. And if you walk in, like, that's why people love pregame fits. What you're walking in is like, okay, we're getting an all black fit AJ Brown. We're getting like this swaggy look. But if you walk in channeling Patrick Beverley in a Sixers jersey,
and
what is that? That's your Game 7. That's your look of Game 7, and then you went out and played accordingly.
The two irrational things I just will never get over because it's not the reason they lost, but in my dumb mind, it's real. Is Harper showing up in a Sixers jersey and Garrett Stubbs' comments? Like Garrett Stubbs' comments should have never happened. Dude, you're a 5'8" backup catcher that wasn't going to contribute to any game in this postseason. Why you would give them bulletin board material? And everybody's saying, well, bulletin board material didn't have the Phillies bat, 1 for 23 with their big 3 hitters. Yeah, I'm aware. But it was a rallying cry. And if you're going to embrace the Orlando Arcia, Bryce Harper bulletin board material, you can't then ignore what your backup catcher did to that bullpen. Zach Gallen, after the game last night, said, I'm happy we were able to protect our hot tub. Lovullo, after the game, said, several times. After Game 4, he said it. After Game 6, he said it.
Said it again after Game 7.
And he kind of gave that club the fuck it, we ain't scared mentality. And I think Garrett Stubbs' comment was a little bit of gas on that fire. So those are the two irrational things in my mind. Sixers jersey and Garrett Stubbs' comments, they hurt.
Well, and that's exactly it. The Diamondbacks were saying they already were motivated internally. They believed in themselves, even though nobody else did. And
Rob, sorry, 1 second. Rob, I literally just said they didn't lose because of comments. And I said it was irrational. All right?
But you know what? Sports are very much mental. And unless you were never an athlete, you don't understand it. As someone that played sports at a very high level, what you say, how you carry yourself, your routine is very important. It goes such a long way because it is a difference. It's how you are, like the mentality coming into a game, the mentality coming into an inning, the mentality coming into a play is key for you either coming into it motivated, confident, ready to go, or coming into it with like a loser mentality, channeling a Patrick Beverley, for example, talking about the opponent and jumping into their pools. These are the little things that do make a difference because you need to, I always say, stick to the politically correct comments. And I say that because, again, I've been there. I'm not just saying it because it just is what everybody else thinks. Say the simple things. We need to be better. We need to work harder. We're going to come out ready to go. We're excited to get on the, Stubbs could have said, we're just excited to get on the road and look to close out this series and play great baseball. Keep it simple. There's no need to add in these little extra nuggets and jabs and cocky comments because the other team is listening. They're taking note and they're extra motivated by it. So it does matter in a sense. We always talk about manifestation. You're manifesting what you want to do. And if you're coming in with a loser mentality or these wacky jabs of comments, that stuff does unfortunately sometimes come back to bite you. And so no, it's not the reason why the Phillies couldn't hit the ball. But I will say it's probably a reason why when you look at all of it together, it just snowballed from there where they continued to have this flat, honestly, loser mentality throughout the rest of the series, guys. There's no other way to carve it.
Yeah, Sean Melody, what up, Sean? Says trash talk is part of the game. Be ready to back it up. That's my problem with it, is it's from a guy that literally
not going to be able to back it up.
has no chance to back it up. So why are you interjecting and giving them material? Wooly Wong says the reason they lost is an obvious one. Big bats went ice cold. And yeah, we're about to get into that. I literally think there's about 12 or 15 issues why they lost. You can go from front office, you can go from Dusty Watham, you can go from lack of producing runs in critical small ball situations, you can go to the big bats, you can go to overmanaging the bullpen, you can go to not enough acquisitions at the trade deadline.
So many things.
You can go, like, the list is endless. So all of them together add up to one of the biggest collapses, not only in Philadelphia Phillies history, but I would say Philadelphia sports history, because I was trying to think of, like, my pain meter. And maybe this is something we'll do next week when we've actually calmed down a little bit. But for me last night, gut, doom scrolling in bed, I have it right up there, and this is no hyperbole and no over-exaggeration. It's right below the Eagles losing the NFC Championship game to the Buccaneers in 2001 at the Vets closing. It's right below that. It's above the 2011 Phillies for me, because the 2011 Phillies lost to the Cardinals team who had and I'm not taking anything away from the Diamondbacks here. Corbin Carroll and Ketel Marte are great players and going to be for a long time, at least in Carroll's case. But that Cardinals team was like kind of a perennial playoff team, and they had some guys that had been there in big game situations and done it before. So that one I could rationalize a little bit easier than I can with the Diamondbacks, who had a negative run differential on the year and became the third worst regular season team to ever make a World Series. Mm-hmm. I can't rationalize this other than the Phillies completely collapsed and lost this series. So, you know, when I can't rationalize things and I can't move on and get past it, it hangs up there in the halls of my heart in the pain department. And this one, I'm not going to be able to shake for a little while.
Well, that's why I say, I know somebody was saying, I think it was Sean or whoever saying it's not a loser mentality. It is. You haven't won a World Series since 2008, and you're coming into it. I know Sean Melody was saying it felt like they were coming in predetermined to be there.
Well, the Braves was their World Series, I think.
Right. The Braves series and the NLDS knocking off the Braves felt like the Phillies thought they had won the World Series because you beat the best team in baseball at the time. And that's not the case. And you know what's a winning mentality? Corbin Carroll, in the first 6 games, 3 for 26. Game 7, after having an struggling first 6 games, Game 7, 3 for 3. Obviously, we saw RBI, you're stealing bases, makes history as, you know, the most hits that a rookie's had in a winner-take-all postseason game. Makes history for rookies with stolen bases in postseason game. Corbin Carroll had a rough first 6 games and then turned it around. On the other side, where do I begin? Nick Castellanos, after going back-to-back multi-homers, as we talked about, 5 home runs in 3 games, then goes 0 for 23 to finish out the series. We know that we talked about the struggles of Trey Turner. Well, Trey Turner 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position in the NLCS. 0 for 3 in Game 7 alone. So, and there's more. There's more to that. So in big moments, Game 7, that's why I say it is a loser mentality, because I know Chris Frezza from our squad was saying too busy focusing on not losing, that you're not trying to win. And it goes all around, especially with the at-bats, that your big guys are not stepping up. We saw Corbin Carroll step up. He willed his team to win. Marte willed the Diamondbacks to win. Trey Turner, Nick Castellanos, Bryce Harper did not. So you're coming into this with this expectation of we're just going to show up and win because we beat the Braves, and now we're just going to walk into the World Series instead of actually making plays, actually getting hits, keeping innings alive. And it cannot be a home run or bust mentality, because look at all the rest of the teams that got to their respective LCS.
Well, let's put that on the Kevin Long complaint back burner, because I do want to get into him, because the Phillies, you know, a lot of people say they're built for October because they can mash. They really need to have a hard look in the mirror about what happens when they can't mash, because this is 2 series ending. You know, the Astros last year and now this, where the bats went silent, and if you're not mashing, are you built to win? Now, Tyler, to your point of who you were talking about there, yes, I think the biggest reason why the Phillies lost this is because Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, and Nick Castellanos, your $700+ million players. It's a lot of John Middleton's money, close to $1 billion of money came up small. And Tyler made a graphic to show you. Because, look, I really boils down to game 6 and 7. You left Arizona up 3-2, coming back to statistically proven to be the best home field advantage in professional sports. There's no excuses. You need your big money players to be big money players. And the Phillies were not that. So here it is. I can't read because the light's right there. Okay. Trey Turner, 5 for 25 in the series with a 200 batting average. Bryce Harper, 5 for 23, 2 for 15 in the 4 losses for a 217 batting average. And Nick Castellanos had no hits in games 2 through 7 with 11 strikeouts. He batted 1 for 24. He batted .042. That's almost hard to do. Those are your biggest 3 paid players outside of pitchers, because I think Wheeler makes more than Castellanos, but barely. Those are your $700 million investments, and they came up smallest for you on the biggest stage. We all love, Bryce Harper. I think Trey Turner, people, was an emotional year, ups and downs. Nick Castellanos, I think most people really like. But the reality is there's no escaping it. Bryce Harper's comments in the locker room, I feel like I let my teammates in the city down. You did.
Yeah.
Nick Castellanos, I was absolutely terrible at the plate. Yeah, you were. I mean, you can say it. It doesn't really make it better. I appreciate it. But that's the biggest reason. There's several reasons, but those 3 coming up small in 6 and 7 is the biggest reason why they lost this series.
Well, I mean, Bryce going 2 for 16 over the final 5 games, 0 for 12 in the 4 losses in the series. Trey 2 for 19 with 0 extra base hits, just 1 walk from game 3 on. Yeah, you can't have such a slump and drop off so bad that you aren't able to do anything. I mean, these numbers are ridiculous, and you. Fucci, I don't know if that's her name. Yeah, we actually have said that they didn't show up several times. But
anybody with a Diamondbacks
like,
logo
what?
is getting ignored. Go listen to you and go celebrate with Diamondbacks fans. Like, what is wrong with you people?
We have literally said that they
all we've
they
talked
played,
about is how they shit themselves.
I don't know how many other ways. We have literally said that we are actually giving numbers for why the Phillies got outplayed, because their best players, Bryce Harper, as I just was saying, 2 for 16 over the final 5 games. I know somebody else was saying it's not a loser mentality. And the Diamondbacks have a winner mentality. I don't know if you guys have played sports in your lives, but to me, when you come into a series and you're up 3-2 with a chance to close out at home in 2 games at home, and you don't do it, but you also get outplayed and are completely flat, can't hit balls. I don't know how else to define that. Let me try the words. There's no heart, no grit, no determination. The passion wasn't there. You didn't show up. I don't know how else to say it. But without a doubt, these numbers are awful in an NLCS where you were in the driver's seat, up 2-0. Okay, you dropped 2 on the road. You still got 1. That's all you needed, was to get 1 in Arizona, and to come back and clinch at home. Still unable to do that. So, yeah, they've said it post-game, it's on me. It's my fault. Got to be better. I know Bryce was talking about that one pitch that he felt like was the chance, and he got beat by his barrel by a 1/10 of a second. Okay, but there's so many times that we can look at the one individual play. How many times are we going to continue saying, if only I got that one play back, before you actually learn to be less conservative and make the play? Bases loaded, make the play. Pitches, you see a good pitch, make the play, because now we're sitting talking about the shoulda, coulda, wouldas from your couch.
Yeah, the Bryce Harper warning track shot, and if Trey Turner, first of all, I don't know why the hell he abandoned the bunt after 1 foul attempt, because to me that was a situation where small ball was needed, especially with as lost as Turner looked in the box. The inability to get a bunt down there cost him a run, which was a game-tying situation, and those types of things can change games. Like, you don't know if the Diamondbacks butts get tight there when it's a tie game. You don't know if Brandon Pfaadt then has the crowd into it and is in between his ears the next inning. You don't know these things. So to drop an opportunity to tie the game up, for Nick not to hit a fly ball to the outfield is just, those are the situations why you lost. It was situational baseball why you lost Game 7. Games 4 and 6 and others you can point elsewhere, but I really thought last night boiled down to failure to come up with traditional old school small ball baseball. And to all you Diamondbacks fans in the chat, welcome. Hit the like button if you're going to be here and gloat and peacock around. But you know what I'm going to do to block the haters out? Put on my new Shady Rays. Shady Rays has a great deal going for you right now. And you should buy these and just stash them away. Maybe take one for yourself, stash one for the holidays. Because if you buy 2 or more polarized sunglasses right now on Shady Rays, you're going to get 50% off. It's a great deal. Take advantage of it. Gear up for the season ahead with quality shades that are built to last. Not only do they have that, but they have quick swap snow goggles that aren't going to break the bank. Snow goggles are expensive. Shady Rays is looking out for you. They're an independent sunglass company that offers an unrivaled product because they're as good as any expensive pair I've ever worn, and I'm done buying expensive pairs. Shady Rays is where it's at. For all your outdoor adventures, winter sports, with their quick swap lenses, and easy, you can switch from full sunlight to low light. Don't let the changing light conditions slow you down on the slopes. And that's not all. They have the best deal in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost or broken replacements. I've had my cousin telling me about these for years. Dude, I lost a pair, and Shady Rays just sent me a new one. No questions asked. It's that good. They're not going to break your stones. No questions asked. Wear your Shady Rays with confidence, and as an idiot that has lost expensive pairs in the Atlantic Ocean year after year after year, this was all I needed to hear to become a Shady Rays man. They're committed to making a difference in communities across the U.S. through their impact program, teaming up with nonprofits to help people live healthy, courageous lives through some of their most challenging times. If you don't love your Shady Rays, you can return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk. The team always has your back. So take advantage exclusively for our listeners. Shady Rays is giving out an amazing deal for the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use that code PHLY on your screen right now for 50% off 2 pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 customers. And that's right, Martian. We're blocking out them haters. If you have a Diamondbacks avatar, I don't see you. I'm like John Cena. Not happening. I'm done with you. I'm hurting enough inside. I hate myself. My daughter walked into my bedroom this morning, and, I went to bed at like 2:45 after all my doom scrolling. And she goes, Dad, did the Phillies win?
Aww.
And I said, no, Sky, they lost. And she said, does that mean they don't play again until my birthday? Her birthday's in April. And I was like,
Oh,
yeah, pretty much.
this is what you've done to us, Phillies.
Pretty much. And I wanted to apologize to her for inflicting this lifelong sickness upon her of being a Philadelphia sports fan.
Welcome to the dark side.
Welcome to hell.
Learn it young, Sky. Learn it young. This is what it's like.
Welcome to hell, Skylar.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I know you guys are talking about swinging at bad pitches, every detail mattering. It was interesting because after Game 7, Rob was saying he's proud of the guys. He's proud of their fight.
Yeah, I don't know what you're proud of.
And I'm like, here's what you're proud of, because I took some notes. So looking at the losses, obviously 3 losses where the Phillies were held to 2 or less runs because they only scored twice and then 1 run in 2 other games. Game 3, 3 hits, 0 for 4 in runners in scoring position, 13 strikeouts, 8 scoreless innings, because of course they only scored once, and that was in the 7th inning when they lost 2-1. Game 4, finally was scoring, but 8 hits, 2 for 7 with runners in scoring position, 11 strikeouts, 5 scoreless innings, the first 2 and the final 3. And they went on to lose that game, of course, 6-5 when they had the lead and blew that. Game 6, we're back at Citizens Bank Park. You're thinking, okay, it's fine. Phillies are going to close out at home. Game 6, 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position, had 6 hits, 10 strikeouts, 8 scoreless innings because they scored in the 2nd inning and then didn't score again the rest of the game. And then Game 7, as we know, 5 hits, 8 strikeouts, 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position, 7 scoreless innings, and their last run they scored in the fourth. So the other trend that the Phillies have had is you can't have the last 5-6 innings of a game where you're not scoring anything. And so to see them be conservative and to see them talk about, we're proud, we fought hard. Is that what fighting hard looks like? Where you're not getting hits. Forget runners in scoring position because the Phillies have struggled with that all season. But you're just being held to no runs, no hits, inning after inning after inning. And for a team that's home run or bust, you're only able to score 1 run in game 3, 1 run in game 6, 2 runs in game 7. It's unbelievable, but that's what you're proud of. That's the hard fight that Rob feels like he saw.
Yeah,
it's a terrible way to lead.
He's Canadian. He's too nice.
Way too nice.
Yeah.
Way too nice.
The Diamondbacks kind of, and we'll get into the whole approach because I saw Barbara talking about their pitching approach, and their manager and staff deserves a lot of credit because I think they clearly outmanaged Rob Thompson, Kevin Long, and Caleb Cotham this series. They had a clear change in direction going back in game 3 to Chase Field, starting with Brandon Pfaadt. But they didn't I'm not taking anything away from them. They didn't mash or really bloody you up that much. They paper cut you to death. They had 11 base hits last night in the game, and only one of them was an extra base hit. They out fundamentaled you. Every time Corbin Carroll got on base, he stole the bag. And that to me falls on JT Realmuto, the pitcher, whoever was on the mound at the time. A lot of that was Ranger. And actually, no, excuse me. Ranger got him dead to rights one time, and Bryce Harper missed the throw. But the rest, Caleb Cotham, JT Realmuto, to not know that was coming and to do a better job there is inexcusable. Really just bad fundamental baseball. And that's what it kind of came down to, is the fundamentals of this series were terrible. Let's get into the coaching decisions because, we just talked about Caleb Cotham. Kevin Long, to me, has entered my crosshairs mentally a lot this morning. Yes, players have to play and make hits and all that. But why are you not tattooing? And I'm going to use Trey Turner in particular as the example because I think they threw him about 16 consecutive low and outside breaking balls that Nick Castellanos is the same example, that they both just flailed at. If I'm Kevin Long, I'm pulling each of them aside before the game and saying, if you swing at pitch 1 tonight in any situation, you're doing yourself a disservice. Because the Diamondbacks and Brandon Pfaadt and their pitching staff clearly changed course in game 3 and stopped giving the Phillies dangerous hitters anything to hit. And the Phillies' plate discipline sucked for the most part, outside of Marsh and Schwarber. And that's really it. Everybody failed in their approaches at the plate from game 3 on. And I think Kevin Long get some blame there entirely because their approach sucked. Trey Turner, if he swings at another low and outside breaking ball in my mind one more time today, I'm going to break something. I'm just seeing it. Oh, him and Castellanos just flailing low and outside, throwing their wrists at it. It was a terrible approach. And why it continued to happen, I have no idea. Bryce Harper, guess what? They didn't want to throw you strikes. Even you're a part of this. I know you just missed one by 1/10 of a second, but your approach at the plate was bad. They didn't want to die by your bats. And credit to the Diamondbacks for making that change because I don't know what change the Phillies made throughout this series to adjust and to overcome. And the Diamondbacks clearly outmanaged the Phillies.
1 for 18 through the top 3 of the batting order for the Phillies in the last 2 games. It's just inexcusable, and I know I said this earlier on one of our shows when I was saying the Phillies need to make an adjustment. And adjustments don't always have to be you move the batting order or something drastic. An adjustment can be as simple as you just said, where you're having a conversation before Trey goes up to bat and saying, this is what you need to do. The Diamondbacks made adjustments. Everybody's going to make an adjustment against, especially Bryce Harper. Why are we still seeing the Phillies doing the same thing game after game after game and never changing? And then to hear Rob is speaking for everybody, of course, in the post game, in my opinion. This is what the staff mindset is. When asked about situational hitting, moving runners, those guys pitch well. People aren't going to hit every game. Other people have to step up. You have to pass the baton, put pressure on people. We had people on, we just couldn't get the big hit. And when asked about Nick, it gets even better. That's Nick. When he was asked about Nick's inconsistency to have one hit in the first game and then zeros, not even a walk throughout the remainder of the series.
My friend from out of town just sent the graphic.
Yep.
0
From
for 8,
day to day, that's
6-7.
who he is. That's who he is. He's more about staying back, trying not to do too much. He can be scorching hot one day and strike out the other. This is what you're talking about after you lose a game 7. This is the mentality. And look, Rob being from Canada, way too nice, whatever. This is the leadership. This is the staff that you are just excusing the fact. Oh, that's just Nick. Oh, that's just them pitching really well. When will the Phillies make an adjustment? And my concern is, because I know the next question we're going to get into moving forward on the show is, what do the Phillies need to do for next year? What can they do to make sure they're not in the same situation? It's 2 back-to-back years of falling short. Well, my concern is it's 2 back-to-back years falling short with the same issues. It's the same stuff we saw last year, and it's the same thing we've seen from the Braves loss in the NLDS to the 4 losses against the Diamondbacks was the exact same copy and paste types of issues. Situational hitting, inability to stick to fundamental baseball, inability to keep innings alive, inability to make any sort of adjustment, lack of intensity and fire and the passion to want to put the Diamondbacks away and capitalize. And then post-game, they're saying, oh, we should have capitalized. Oh, we missed opportunities. Oh, we have to be better. Not okay.
Yeah,
not okay.
Combined 1 for 28 between Schwarber, Turner, Harper, and Castellanos in games 6 and 7.
Ooh. Game 6 and 7
for 28, and you couldn't. I mean, Kyle Schwarber gave you. Here's the game 6 and 7 struggles. 2 for 17 with runners in scoring position. In game 6, they were a whopping 1 for 7. Last night, 1 for 10. Schwarber, Turner, and Harper were 1 for 20. The Diamondbacks bullpen gave you 8.1 innings pitched, 8 1/3 innings, 0 earned runs, 3 hits, 6 Ks. The Diamondbacks had 8 stolen bases to the Phillies 1. And JT Realmuto, why he couldn't get off his knees last night to attempt a proper throwout was wild to me. Why Jeff Hoffman can't even look over at a runner on base. Why Rob Thompson and Caleb Cotham allowed that to happen. 8 stolen bases. I mean, every time they got on base, they were looking to steal. And that was the total opposite. In the first couple games of the series, Lovolo and the Diamondbacks didn't attempt to run. And then, oh my God, they made an adjustment. And they decided to take advantage of one of the best arms in baseball in JT Realmuto, and it killed him.
Yeah.
It's just, I think the team kind of was done there in the 7th inning. Was that when it was Turner, Harper, or Schwarber, Turner, Harper?
Yeah.
Schwarber got on with the leadoff double, which is exactly what you needed. I think it was over then. I think mentally nobody else had a chance at the end of that game. There had only been one team in postseason history that had been down 2+ runs in the 9th or later of a game 7 and come back to 1. That was Andy Van Slyke and Barry Bonds with the early day Pirates getting toppled by the 92 Braves. Sid Bream's slider. They entered the 9th down 2-0, won 3-2. And the Phillies didn't really have a shot. I mean, I slumped over after the 7th, and I just said, I just laid on the couch and kind of was mute and just watched them die. It was like you just watched them bleed out.
Yeah. In that moment, the Phillies needed a hero. And there's one place you can always get a hero. That's Hero Bread. Now, Hero Bread is the
Mm.
place that's got soft, fluffy, delicious bread, but it's also healthy and nutritious for you as well. High fiber, ultra low net carbs, 0 gram sugar per slice. And you can use the discount code PHLY to get 10% off of your purchase because they make sliced breads, buns, tortillas, anything available. Tortillas. Anything available on Hero. You can also check them out on Amazon, and they're offering you guys all a great deal. I've tried their bread and their tortillas. Very delicious, very tasty, pairs well with any sort of sandwich, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And so you can absolutely make sure to check out Hero Bread for a chance to eat healthy and delicious for a nice discount. Yeah, I know you guys in the chat are talking about, it was crazy, Justin, definitely depressing. Oh, Barbara, happy that we have this show to help all of us talk through the mourning phase of the Phillies season coming to an end. Yeah, it's Ryan, we're with you. After the 7th inning, you definitely could see it was over. I unfortunately was feeling that before Game 7 even started. And I know I did a quick video earlier in the day talking about my lack of confidence, and I didn't feel like the Phillies were really, unfortunately, making the adjustments needed or, in the right headspace going into Game 7. And that's exactly what we saw play out. This team lost life. It started in Game 4, especially because Game 3 was a moment where it was kind of okay, it's hard to sweep a team on any level in any sport. It's hard to sweep a team. So you were okay with dropping a loss, especially since it was the first game in Arizona. You could see there were adjustments needed. It was a very good pitching duel between Ranger and Brandon Pfaadt. But then Game 4 rolls around, and it was the identical game issues in the final innings where you're up, and then when Craig Kimbrell comes in, everything falls apart. And ever since that moment was the moment that it never felt like the Phillies were able to right the ship. Obviously, they go out, they win Game 5, you're feeling good about it, but it still didn't seem like the Phillies were the Phillies. It still didn't feel like they were back to what helped them beat the Marlins in 2, beat the Braves in 4. It still didn't feel like it was the same level of intensity hitting. The consistency wasn't there, and the trust wasn't there, Colin, because it is hard to trust this team, especially right now when you feel like you've got home field advantage, you're going to go back, you're going to be welcomed back by fans, and you're going to have this outpouring of home runs and just scoring, and it's going to be great, and it's going to be over early. And the Phillies were never able to catch up to the Diamondbacks. In fact, the Diamondbacks came into Game 7, and you could see in my opinion, you could see the difference from the beginning, where the Diamondbacks came into it like, we got this. Marte, Carroll, all throughout, Longoria, whoever, just seemed like they wanted it more. And that's absolutely the frustrating part. I said this in the post-game show. I don't mind if the Phillies lose and it's a back and forth good battle of a game, but to lose a game where they outplayed you, outcoached you, wanted it more than you, and you never made an adjustment or were ever able to really wake up. So my thought is, okay, it's not just one game. It's several. It's been a handful of these games we've seen these issues. What will it take for this to change for the Phillies? And where does that have to happen? Is that at the top? Is that with the roster? It's probably a combination of both. What will it change? What will it take, to change so that we don't continuously sound like broken records of these same issues, runners in scoring position, lack of intensity, inability to play small ball, same issues over and over again as a detriment to this team?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll dive more into the offseason next week. Aaron Nola was asked about last night, does he want to come back? And he said, I hope so. We could have seen the last of Aaron Nola, and I know he's a polarizing figure, and everybody in the chat's going to say, let him walk. He doesn't deserve big money. Aaron Nola is the classic example of grass isn't always greener. And do I want to go get Yamamoto from Japan? Sure. But Andrew Painter isn't going to be there next year. Mitch McGarry and Mick Abel, you can't really count on. So before everybody runs for the hills saying don't bring back Nola, just be careful what you wish for, because we don't know. Griff McGarry, what did I say? I said Mitch? Oh, I know it's Griff. Old Mitch Cumstein. You know him? That's a National Lampoon reference for some of my older heads out there. I don't know. And Reese Hoskins is another one. We have a lot of offseason to talk about the direction. But I do think, this team was built for the long ball. And when they're not hitting the long ball, it's tough.
Yeah. Well, there's another part of that, though, Jamie, that I thought was an issue, and it was something that has been brushed over and talked about. But when JT Realmuto hit a 2-run homer, it was Game 5. That actually broke a streak where the Phillies had 16 straight solo homers. And I also think that's kind of a concern because not only you're hitting home runs, but you're not hitting home runs with guys on base. So you're scoring great. We all love a home run, but it'd be a lot better if there's a guy or two on base, and now we're running in a couple of guys, and you're taking, a nice 2-run, 3-run lead off of that. So that's something that even the Diamondbacks with getting guys on base, that's where they were able to drive runners in. The Phillies struggled with even that. So even the home run, boomer bust mentality doesn't help if it's just one run. Like it's great for highlights. It looks good when you repost it. It's exciting and gets everybody on their feet. But that one home run, that one run scored is not moving the needle. So even that is something that in Game 5 when they said it, I was like, that's an interesting stat. But looking back, I'm like, that's not a great stat. 16 solo homers, not great.
No, that's kind of actually hard to believe. When I saw Jason Stark put out that tweet after the JT home run, I was like, I hadn't even realized. Like, it did feel like a lot of solo home runs, but I didn't realize how many.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. And again, you found yourself in the history of baseball several times in this series. Now, unfortunately, on the wrong side of it. Two things that are historically tough to believe. First, Philadelphia in collective Game 7s. And this isn't Philly specific. This is us as a loser city. Philadelphia has now lost 7 consecutive Game 7s. Let me just say that one more time for you. They have lost 7 consecutive Game 7s. The Sixers own the majority of that pie with 4.
Jesus.
The Flyers 2. And the Phillies 1. Their first ever. And if you want to throw in Game 5 of 2011, it's kind of the same situation. So you can almost make the case it's 8. That was just because you weren't allowed to go to Game 7s in that series. It was a 5-game series. So that is cool because the longest 7-game losing streak by a metro area in MLB, NBA, and NHL history. Obviously.
More history.
Yeah, football doesn't apply. I believe the next closest, let me see if it's still in this tweet here. Somebody had 6. Yeah, I think it was Ottawa, actually. But they don't have baseball, and it was just strictly Senators with 6. Is that what it was?
Rough.
I'm trying to expand this tweet here.
Can you imagine being that bad?
Yeah.
You only have one team and you've lost that many?
Yeah.
You're carrying the record.
It's like that. Those videos where it's like, at least we're not Detroit.
Yeah.
Well, I guess at least you're not Ottawa.
It's Ottawa tied with Milwaukee.
Jesus. Terrible history,
Milwaukee
Barbara.
had 6 straight between 1958 and 1982. Who could forget those years?
Oh my god!
But yes, Ottawa from 97 to present, and
Eugene
Milwaukee.
says at least we're all losers together.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is therapy. And Barbara thanked us for being on, and we thank everybody for coming in and being a loser with us today. I mean, this hurts. And Renee and I are going to have to wear, some Diamondbacks gear from our friends out at PHNX because
Thank you, Phillies.
We willingly accepted their offer for a bet, and we're not Welchers. I'll walk around with a sandwich board in Philadelphia that says shame with my Diamondback shirt on. I don't give a damn. I'm dead inside. Nothing can hurt me anymore. James Harden's in the news this morning. I don't care. You think that phases me right now?
Yeah, James not traveling with the Sixers. Phillies dropping Game 7. What's next? Who's next? Go.
Well, you
go,
want another
go.
historical stat?
Oh, no.
I think Tyler will appreciate this one. The Diamondbacks' 4 stolen bases last night was the most in a Game 7 since the 1909 World Series when Honus Wagner's Pirates stole 4 in their 8-0 victory over the Tigers.
Who could forget that series? I mean, I remember it like it was yesterday.
Honus Wagner.
Jesus.
Oh, this sucks so much. I'm dead inside.
That's like
Yeah.
You know,
it's just rough. It's just a rough day in Philadelphia. The food doesn't taste better. The coffee sucks. I'm probably going to pour myself a big old bourbon and go to bed early tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, silver lining, I get to go see one of my favorite bands this weekend.
So
I get to go to my friend's 40th. I had told everybody I can't do anything this weekend.
Oh my gosh, I get to go to my friend's 30th.
There you go.
Yeah, we can be at our friend's birthday parties.
Because I told everybody,
I was saying the same
I got
thing.
World Series game 1 and 2. Sorry, my morning jacket. I can't make it on Friday. Sorry, Meg Gettner. I can't make it on Saturday.
I won't be there this weekend because the Phillies will be in the World Series. But now I don't have to worry. Yeah, we don't have to worry about that. And so if you need tickets to go to a concert now because your weekends just open up, go to Game Time.
I'm actually probably going to be using Game Time to go to my morning jacket Friday night.
Jaime Lindor / John Cena is going to be using the Game Time app, using that code PHLY, gets you $20 off because now we've got some free time a little bit because we still have other teams to go be sad around.
Eagles
Philly
only
sports,
once a week.
But
Everybody else can wait.
You got the other days. So use the Game Time app. They've got great prices on anything, concerts, games, whatever you're looking to purchase. It's easy to do right on your phone. And with that code PHLY, you also can save yourself $20. You're welcome, guys. But no, it's interesting because I saw post game, there was like a video clip that went out, and I saw several of these, but video clips going out asking fans their thoughts, and everyone's like, trade them all. Trey's got to go. Fire Rob. Like, the list goes on, and people are like, oh, wow, Philly sports fans, you're not loyal. Your team loses, and you just completely are ready to throw it away. And it's like, no, because exactly as you just read with that stat, Jamie, this is not something that Philly sports fans are new to. They're very much used to this.
This is unfortunately second nature.
It's the usual response of like, we've been here before. And in last year's, when the Sixers lost, what happened to Doc? What happened to the Sixers? A lot of changes. You can't drop a game 7, especially in a series that you're up 2-0, and expect no changes to happen. It just
Tyler,
give me a sport.
Does Topper have one more year, or is this? I think he has one more year remaining. I thought he signed a 2-year extension.
As much as, and we've talked about this before, when a team loses and falls short of expectations, the coaching staff and the front office are the first ones that are under the microscope. Whether it's Rob or somebody else, it doesn't have to be Rob. It could be Rob. But that's honestly now the question, and we'll get into this, of course, a lot more in detail. It's without a doubt the first place you're looking is the front office, the coaching staff of, okay, some of y'all might not be back next year. Sell all your Philly tickets. Yep.
Game Time. Sell all your Philly tickets because nothing matters in the end.
That's a great ad. I like that.
Maybe Game Time will steal that from you, Colin.
There you go. Yeah.
And Barbara, I'll be here all off season if you have shows. Yes, we are going to be doing daily shows. We'll do.
Tell people about that. They've mentioned that a few times now.
There's winter meetings. There's Aaron Nola. There's Reese Hoskins. There's Shohei Ohtani. There's MLB off season. I love MLB Hot Stove. So we're going to be doing daily shows and daily content here, and we'll get through this together, and we'll get to spring training and see what those changes are.
Yeah.
They're not going to change Rob Thompson. I know that. Renee and I hopefully will be down in Clearwater bringing you the latest. And look, it's not all doom and gloom. I mean, it is right now, but the direction of this team and the future of this team, there's still hope there. But I think why this is so painful and why this is up there with the 2001 Buccaneers loss for me is in 1993. 93, I was young and it was like new to me and I didn't understand Philadelphia sports pain. So that was like my first. This is almost more painful than 93 because I convinced myself that this team was different, that they were resilient and they didn't give up and they didn't choke and they didn't shoot themselves in the foot. I know the first 3 months of the season was less than ideal, but kind of once you got Harper back and once Turner rounded the corner, I mean, this team was as good as anybody in baseball, and they went toe-to-toe with the Braves in terms of power numbers from August 1st on and gave you every reason to believe. I had convinced myself that this team wasn't capable of collapsing upon themselves, and they did exactly that. So I feel like I was tricked, bamboozled, hoodwinked, to steal Stephen A. Smith's famous rant, led astray. all that. I feel like I was lied to or convinced of something that wasn't true. And I fear now 2 years in a row that this team very much is capable of collapsing on itself.
Well, just side note, because I was getting distracted by all the compliments coming to me in the chat. I thank you. Keep them coming. That I'm smart, I'm fired up, and you love it. But no, I'm glad that you guys are enjoying our show. It's a shame that our game coverage is ending so soon. But as Jamie's mentioning, we will be still continuing to have shows 5 days a week live for you. We'll have other content for you because there's plenty more to talk about.
Can't
for the
quit
Diamondbacks,
you, Phillies.
No, we're not going anywhere. Again, toxic relationship. We're still here, guys. We're still here. Everything's fine. Red flags and all.
Everything's fine. We're doing okay. Everything's okay.
This is fine. Everything's fine. But for Ketel Marte to have 16 games hitting streak, fourth longest in postseason history, the longest for a player in their first 16 their first postseason games, and the Diamondbacks make it back to the World Series the first time in 22 years. So I guess we never officially said it because I don't know if we should, but I guess congratulations to the Diamondbacks. But for the Phillies specifically,
I don't hate the Diamondbacks.
No, I don't hate them either. It's just you're not the Phillies, so I'm not going to like you. I'm not going to root for you. But now
I won't lie though. Seeing Alec Thomas plant the Diamondbacks flag in Citizens Bank.
Now that was painful.
Just
seeing them celebrating in general.
Yeah, I couldn't
at Citizens Bank Park.
I wasn't mad at him because I get it, but that was just
was supposed to be us.
That was just pain.
That was supposed to be us. I was rooting for you.
Yeah, that was just painful.
Yeah, it very much was painful. And now, unfortunately, we do have to rock the PHNX merch. But if you want to rock some merch, you can go to FOCO to do it because FOCO is a place where you can buy anything. You can still support teams. You can still support Philly sports teams, whoever your teams are. Use that code PHLY and get 10% off when you are purchasing at FOCO. Maybe not the overalls. I don't know that we want to buy the overalls anymore, but you can buy other things. Banners,
they'll come back someday.
But not right now. Not right now. Give the overalls. Give the overalls a beat. They do actually have some Eagles overalls, which are pretty cool. Collectibles, banners, a lot of really cool stuff you can buy there. Fletcher Cox can wear them. So can you. Go to FOCO. Use that code PHLY. Get 10% off. Hit the like button while you're here. For those of you that are joining us, Colin, Harp, Barbara, Eugene. Anybody else that's here, Aaron, hit that like button while you're here. And make sure you're adding into the comments with what your thoughts are because it's a day of mourning, guys. It's a day of mourning. But it will get easier with time, I hope. We'll see about that.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I actually did have a question. There was something that I was trying to get to, and I was trying to remember what it was. I should have wrote it down.
You were brain farting?
I was brain farting, and I was trying to talk myself through the ad. So... As you mentioned, the struggles of the start of the season, and this is probably too soon to ask this question.
Uh-oh.
It felt like the struggles at the beginning of the season were long gone. We worked past it. It felt like the team was moving in the right direction to have an ultimate story of starting from the bottom of the season. Now we're here. And then they ended up very similarly to how things started. Do you feel like it was like a full circle of we start how you finish? With the Phillies?
No, just because you were missing Bryce Harper in the beginning.
But we were still missing Bryce Harper at the end.
Figuratively, yes.
He was physically there, but it felt like he was missing. So
no, I do think the team got better over the course of the year.
It did get better. They definitely did. And then it felt like we came right back to where we started.
I'm not
I felt like it was a lot of those same types of frustrations that you saw in the beginning when it was an awful losing start, came right back. And no, Bryce Harper was out there, but it still felt like Bryce Harper was missing at the end. So I don't know. I felt eerily a lot of similarities between the start and the end of the season, and that's not a good thing.
Yeah, Harp, 4803, welcome in. He said he's here for the postmortem or mortem. And he said the Phillies need a more diverse lineup, not depending on the home run or nothing.
Please.
Yeah, I agree with that. And without, and this is more for the offseason discussions next week. This week is all about therapeutic community therapy here and getting through this together. But I don't know how you do that without really, really shaking some things up, meaning like trading Nick Castellanos or Johan Rojas or Brandon Marsh. I don't know what those changes are. My mind's not there yet, but I agree with you that they need some more. Like, look at the Diamondbacks last night. 11 hits. Only one of them was extra base hits. And they didn't have a problem producing runs. So, this offseason, I'll probably go back to Kyle Schwarber's not a leadoff hitter takes and try to figure out, which I know irks Tyler's soul, and maybe try to get creative and figure out ways that this team can be a more. You don't want to be completely small ball. Home runs are good. I'm not an idiot, but I don't know. Maybe you need some more contact hitters in this team. Just looking at the box scores of games 6 and 7, it's hard not to think that right now. Maybe in a week or two, I'll go, no, that was a stupid reactive thought you're having. But I kind of agree with that. Like, you need some better contact hitters, or maybe you just need Bryson Stott to come through before Game 7. I don't know.
Bryson.
We'll figure it out, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't disagree with the sentiment of this team is built to mash, and when you're not mashing, you can be in trouble.
I do feel like for any sport, any team, you need diversity in your team. That goes for anything. And to have every guy, especially at the top of the batting order, really similar, it makes it very predictable. And the Phillies are a team that opponents have figured out. No one was going into a game against the Phillies this year without the extra motivation to want to knock off the team that got to the World Series. And I was literally just saying the same thing about the Philadelphia Union, and I just feel like a broken record at this point. But for the Phillies, for the Astros, they had a target on their back, and the Phillies needed to come into this season and make some sort of changes to make it so that teams couldn't have the playbook on them and execute. And unfortunately, that's exactly what happened in the end. The Phillies were not able to make any sort of adjustments because it's home run or bust. And every opponent had them figured out. They changed how they were pitching to Harper. They changed how they were pitching to Trey and Kyle. And you got to have something else in your arsenal. It's got to be small ball, whatever it is, bunting, fundamentals, whatever it is. Something else has to be able to allow you to get on base, to keep innings alive. And so that's the frustrating part is it seems like other teams did their homework on the Phillies, and the Phillies didn't at all do any sort of changes or homework.
And credit to the Diamondbacks for making the adjustments in this
because that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah,
and
I mean, if you're not, what are you doing?
Phillies.
Like, if you're not making adjustments in a 7-game series, what are you doing? And I guess Rob Thompson, viewed taking, because I would have changed Alec Bowman, JT Realmuto's spots in the lineup after Game 3, because it was clear Brandon Pfaadt in Game 3 did not want to throw Bryce Harper anything, and that remained until Game 7. Now Bohm came up big for you with a solo shot there that kind of got the stadium back into it. But games 4, 5, and 6, Bryce Harper was antsy because he wasn't getting thrown anything to hit, and it ended up costing the Phillies. So Rob Thompson viewed that probably as a panic move that he didn't want to make. And I'm going to view it as the mistake or one of the top mistakes of the series.
And that's the thing. It's not panicking. You've got to make adjustments. Renee, you're saying the same thing. We consistently lose to teams who are able to adjust. It's just, sports are about making a change. You don't go into every single game and do the exact same thing from start to finish and expect you're going to win every time. Because other teams are making adjustments. Other teams are switching up their batting order, their bullpen, whatever they're doing to find a way to win. And so you can't just think we're just going to go in. And that's where it's not a cockiness. It's just like a lack of, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just almost like a stubbornness. Like, we're gonna make this work. It's like trying to fit a square into a circle. You're gonna make it work even if it doesn't fit. And every game calls for something different. Coaches are constantly evaluating combinations, matchups, health, how guys are playing. And you have to go off of that. And every game calls for something different. So that's the frustrating part. I don't know the WNBA comparison. I was talking about the MLS, I think is what you're confusing. The Philadelphia Union
I wish WNBA
and the MLS,
had a team in
they're
Philly.
A soccer team.
But
a men's soccer team at that. I wish we had a women's basketball team, but we don't. I agree with Barbara and Jamie. But you look across sports, coaches make adjustments, and it's not a panic move. And I think it's overthinking things to feel like, oh, I trust my guys. We're not going to panic. No, it's not panicking. It's managing the game. It's coaching. It's changing things up to try to make your team best suited to win and be successful. If something didn't work in Game 3, change it for Game 4. If something didn't work in Game 6, change for game 7. Like, you can't continue to do the same thing. That's insanity, and expect different results.
Yeah, Eugene Krabs, Justin Crawford is definitely one of the bright spots of the organization, and maybe you got to look at him next year because he lit up the minor leagues this year. Let me tell you about DraftKings, because losing sucks in real life, but maybe you can make some of that money back using DraftKings Sportsbook. Look, you're going to have a big series here between the Rangers and the Diamondbacks. If you have the emotional well-being to gamble on it, there's always football. There's always something at DraftKings. You won't miss a moment of the action. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets by betting just $5 on baseball. Plus, all customers can take a crack at a sweet payday with DraftKings same-game parlays. Add a bunch of stuff from the same game for your shot at a bigger payout. So what are you waiting for? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code PHLY. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets by betting just $5 on baseball. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code PHLY. And the timer's thrown away now that the playoffs are over. All right,
it's thank
you. I agree with you guys. Thank you. I'm just going to, should I just do this in my real sad droopy dog voice?
Yeah, in fact, make it fun. Have fun
Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Not that slow, though. We're going to be here forever.
Visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccp.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, licensee partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles, 21 plus age, varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. See dkng.com/baseball for eligibility, terms, and responsible gaming resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Well, today sucks. Thanks for joining us here in the chat. It's always a little easier to get through it together as a community, unlike those fake Diamondback fans out in Phoenix and Scottsdale who don't really have that community. We get to put our arms around each other here and cry. And Eugene Krabs, I think that's actually probably a pretty good bet. He says hammer Adolis Garcia for the World Series MVP. That man is on a tear right now.
Now he's looking like one of the strongest guys in baseball, not Corbin Carroll.
Yeah. So thanks everybody for hanging out with us. Smash that like button before you get out of here. Support our sponsors because they're awesome. For Renee Washington, Tyler Zulli, I'm Jamie Lynch. Have yourselves a very sad baseball day. There's no other way to put it. It sucks. We'll see you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.